And we get to say it this time, OpTic Texas are your Major 3 champions. What's going on, guys? J-Hoy back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. We're back here on Ranked Play once again, and we get to say it this time, OpTic Texas are your Major 3 champions. It's absolutely incredible to be able to say that again. Over 800 days. I think it was like 803 or something. Going back all the way, I think it was, they said, Stage 1 of Call of Duty Vanguard, or the last time OpTic Texas won. So it's been a long time, and with the caliber of players that are on this roster, it better not be that long again, right? We got Major 4 and, of course, Champs coming up later this summer. So the winning column better stay good for the green wall. As today, I wanted to take a look back at the Major 3 bracket. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't make predictions video, go back and watch the last video. Of course, that does explain it. But in case you don't want to go back and watch, well, what the heck? Do you not like me? Come on, go back and watch it. But for those that did watch it, you guys know my internet line got cut during some construction. But we are back. I think they left about 5 minutes ago as I'm recording this. So it's the second video I'm recording back to back. And there will be a third video that comes out shortly that I actually recorded, before the internet line got cut. So, time to take a look back at Major number 3. Of course, if we were to do predictions for this video, we'll talk about those as well. But, of course, we didn't do the predictions because we couldn't. But going back through the bracket here, winners round 1 had Atlanta FaZe versus the Miami Heretics. If I were to predict this one, I would have predicted FaZe 3-0. Ends up being 3-1. So Heretics win a map on land. Is that finally? I think they finally won a map on land. And to do it against arguably our best team in the CDL is a pretty big accomplishment. Then our second match has the New York Subliners versus the LA Thieves. This one could go back and forth. LA Thieves, not a team that's been doing great, but still has that upset potential that could beat, most of the teams in the league. Plus, the New York Subliners haven't been looking like, a top 4 team, right? They're still good, but they haven't been that next level like they have been in the past. So that could have been a toss-up, but likely still favored towards the New York Subliners. But, I probably would have predicted a similar scoreline. Thieves steal away 3-1 victory for the Subliners, moving them on. Next matchup had the Toronto Ultra versus Seattle Surge. Again, if we were predicting this one, we would have predicted 3-0 Toronto Ultra. Surge do win a map, though. They win that one 3-1. Then our last match, OpTic Texas versus the Carolina Royal Ravens. Again, if we were to predict that one, I probably would have said either 3-0, 3-1. Carolina, decent team, but just hasn't pushed up the ladder enough just yet. But OpTic do win that one 3-1. So pretty solid showing from OpTic in the first round. But dropping down to the elimination bracket, round number 1, we got a lot of games down here we gotta cover. So round 1 features Miami Heretics versus the Vegas Legion. And this one, Heretics do win in the game 5, moving Heretics on. Legion, once again, out super early. Next matchup has the LA Thieves versus the Boston Breach. Boston Breach are struggling, but this one, they do fight for a game 5. Breach, I don't know what they're doing. Are they still playing with their coach, or is Beans back? I'm not exactly sure, but either way, Thieves do win this one in the game 5. They move on to the next round, which we would have predicted probably both of these matchups so far, because Thieves and Heretics are kind of our middle teams. If I would have put them in an area. Then we have the Surge versus the Minnesota Rocker. This one's kind of a toss-up, right? Surge haven't really been putting it together too much. Neither has Rocker. Rocker made some roster changes. Still hasn't been proving much to say about the Rocker. So Surge and Rocker, toss-up. Surge do win that one 3-1. Last matchup of the elimination bracket, round number 1, has the Carolina Royal Ravens versus the LA Gorillas. This one, pretty self-explanatory. Carolina 3-1, probably what we would have predicted anyway. Elimination bracket round 2, though, Heretics versus Thieves. you know, again, two teams that are kind of fighting for that middle bubble almost after the top 4 spots, almost 4 through 8. Heretics do win that one 3-1, so now they got their first 2 wins on land. If not, if I missed one, I'm sorry, Heretics, but I'm pretty sure that's their first 2 wins on land. But they send Thieves home. Heretics move on to round 3. Next matchup, we have the Seattle Surge versus Carolina Royal Ravens. This one, the Surge do win, again, repeating the 3-1 scoreline. But round 3 of Elimination Bracket takes a pause as we jump back up to Winner's Bracket. Round number 2 has FaZe versus the Subliners. So this one is literally our top 4 teams, right? And it just kind of is in a spot right now where these are our top 4 teams, and it's pretty clear cut that they are the top 4 teams. So Atlanta FaZe versus New York Subliners, then Toronto Ultra versus OpTic Texas. This one, I mean, I just FaZe 3-up. I don't know how close they were. I wasn't able to watch any of it, of course. But that's awesome, right? FaZe do move on to the Winner's Bracket final. Then you have Ultra versus OpTic. And of course, these two teams have been crazily going back and forth. Always two, titans going back and forth. But this one, though, Toronto Ultra do win 3-1, dropping OpTic down to Elimination Bracket, round number 3, where they do face off against the Miami Heretics, which they've had very good luck against, both online and on land. But again, they repeat the series, I think from the last series, 3-1 in favor of OpTic, and they move on for top 4. The New York Subliners do get the loss versus FaZe, which means they drop down and face off against the Seattle Surge. This one, Subliners show why they're a top 4 team yet again and move on in a 3-1 fashion to face off against the OpTic Texas squad. But now the battle for top 4 features who other but our top 4 teams. FaZe versus Ultra in the Winner's Bracket final. OpTic versus New York for top 4. This one, OpTic does win the game 5, right? They move on to top 3. So OpTic's now beat New York, which is huge, right? That's a team that always plays them pretty tough, and that's a big win for them. But we got to jump back up, though. Winner's Bracket final, Atlanta FaZe versus Toronto Ultra. If anything other than a game 5 would settle a titan battle like this, I would have been disappointed. FaZe Ultra game 5. We get it. And who ends up winning? Toronto Ultra. In Toronto, by the way. I don't know if I even mentioned that yet, but they were in Toronto for this event, and Toronto wins in the Game 5 to move on to the Grand Finals. But of course, we got to have someone coming up from the Elimination Bracket, and that's going to be a banger of a matchup. One of the El Clasicos of Call of Duty, FaZe versus OpTic, and usually in this case FaZe would get the victory, and it's just one of those matchups that could go either way, but it seems to be favored towards the FaZe squad, but not today, not on Sunday. OpTic Texas take it in a game 5, which is a massive win for them. I mean, beating Toronto would have been huge. Beating New York in the Elimination Bracket is big. Beating FaZe now in the Elimination Bracket final is a massive confidence boost, which pushes them into the Grand Finals versus the Toronto Ultra, where they 4-0 sweep the Ultra. OpTic Texas are your major 3 champions, hosted by Toronto Ultra, and they 4-0 sweep them in the Grand Finals. Like, when I say they were an absolute flow state in that event, I mean, they were not even rotating, like, great, but they were winning. They weren't playing great, but they were winning. They were winning gunfights. They broke them off rotation. They just dominated for the entirety of the Grand Finals, right? This was the one matchup. As soon as I saw OpTic was up 2-0 in the finals, right? Because, of course, don't have internet, trying to get updates on my phone, trying to watch it, but don't really have great service. And I saw the 2-0, and I was like, I gotta figure out how to watch this. Got out the phone, got out the hotspot, put it on my computer. I was able to stream it just enough where I was able to watch the last 2 maps. I caught it like halfway through the control, and then watched all of that, the second hard point, and I was finally able to see the OpTic boys back on top. But something cool I didn't want to mention here is this is a look at the peak viewership numbers for each of these matches for the Major 3 event. And what's kind of shocking is it's not all OpTic, which, you know, isn't super shocking, but the matchups we get, right? Toronto OpTic for the Saturday match where the OpTic ended up losing, right? That was a big match. They lose, right? 161,000 people, a little bit more than that. The next matchup was on Sunday, Championship Sunday, was after OpTic beat Heretics, and now they're in the top 4. They end up playing off against the New York Subliners. 183,000 people just above it. Then you had Winners Bracket Finals on Sunday. FaZe versus Ultra, obviously a banger of a matchup, 2 Titans. Then you had OpTic versus Toronto. Grand Finals was second. How is Grand Finals second? But 234,000 people for that one. And then, of course, I don't want to say of course because that's not really accurate. But FaZe versus OpTic, obviously, always a great matchup. But they peaked. They won the peak award, I guess, if you will. 238,000 people. That's incredible, right? Obviously, OpTic takes up 4 of these. I wonder why. And then, of course, you have the Winners Bracket Finals with 2 Titans of a team. So, obviously, a crazy event nonetheless, but some crazy viewership numbers as well. I don't believe that counts for anybody's watch parties or anything else. So, obviously, a lot more people watching on top of all that. But the last thing I wanted to take a look at today is the CDL standings, the point standings, post Major 3. So, after Stage 3 here is a look at the standings. FaZe on top, 425 CDL points. But right behind them, OpTic Texas do move up 1 spot, 405 points. Ultra in 3rd place with 390 points, so 15 points behind OpTic, not crazy. Then the Subliners are in 4th place at 255 CDL points. And then it's an absolute battle, and I mean a battle, for 5th through 11th place, only being separated from top and bottom by 20 points. Heretics and Surge both at 130 CDL points. LA Thieves in 7th at 125 CDL points. Carolina Royal Ravens, Minnesota Rocker, both 8th and 9th with 120 CDL points. And then Legion and Gorillas, both 110 CDL points. And then at last place, the Boston Breach, right? A team that just has not put it together at all this year. They're at the bottom, right? And if I have to say some predictions here, I would 100% say top 3 or 100% solidified for the rest of the year. After that, Subliners I think are very comfortable. Not 100% solidified for that spot, but I think they're pretty comfortable there. And then, like I said, 5th through 11th place only being separated by 20 points. The next stage, the next set of matches, and the next major are going to be a battle, right? Like I said, top 4, more than solidified there. Comfortable, don't have to worry about it. Breach, I don't think they have a shot. I mean, they have to have almost like a flawless stage and beat all of the teams above them, and then have a really good Major 4, which don't think is going to happen. But there's a chance, right? And they win all 7 matches. I think that's what, 10 CDL points a match? So I'm pretty sure it's 10 points for every win you get in this CDL, at least as far as the qualifiers go. So, I mean, Breach went 0-7 this last stage. Somehow winning 11 maps out of all that, going 11 and 21 map count. Who did they even play? Just as like curiosity, right? So LA Gorillas, which are right above them in the standings. LA Thieves, which are a few above them. Heretics, which are 5th. Rocker, which is in 9th. They lost to OpTic, which obviously, no, OpTic won the thing. And then Toronto Ultra. So they took OpTic to a Game 5. Minnesota was Game 5. Heretics was Game 5. LA Gorillas was Game 5. Legion was Game 5, and then Thieves was a 3-1, and then they only got 3-0'd by Ultra. So, obviously, they're in the games. It's not like they're getting completely blown out every series, but at the same time, you suck. So, I don't know who you play in next stage, but you better figure it out. But I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to mention for this event. Obviously, so happy the boys are back on top. I wish I could have seen it full in person. I have not seen any of the other matches, so I look forward to watching all of those as a rewatch. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below. And if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe. And as always, guys, we'll see you in the next one.